Elena Brooks tugged at the cuff of her comfortable gray hoodie as she and her husband, Michael Brooks, approached the imposing glass facade of Centennial Trust Bank. At 34, Elena felt slightly out of place in her simple attire, soft joggers and a well-worn t-shirt, amid bankers in crisp suits. Michael, at 42, cut an entirely different figure. His tailored charcoal blazer and custom Italian loafers spoke of a quietly amassed fortune through Brooks Capital Group, yet he carried his success with modest grace. Inside, the polished marble floor reflected the morning light. Branch manager Laura Henderson, her perfectly pressed blouse and sleek bob immaculate despite the tension in her jaw, surveyed the entrance. Elena and Michael drew a few approving nods, his presence signaling importance, while Elena's casual look prompted puzzled glances. "I'll take this step," Michael murmured, squeezing Elena's hand. "Our agreement, you handle the foundation." Elena exhaled, recalling their pact. She managed the Brooks Literacy Initiative's finances independently, preserving its grassroots ethos. She slipped her wedding ring-clad hand from Michael's and stepped forward. At the customer desk, Laura offered a polite but guarded smile. "Good morning. How may I help you?" Elena set down a clutch of documents and a hefty check made out to Brooks Literacy Initiative. "I'd like to open a new account for our nonprofit and deposit $250,000 for our upcoming school grants," she said evenly. Laura's eyes flicked to the check's six-figure amount, then to Elena's sweatshirt. "May I see identification and a source of these funds?" The question carried an unspoken assumption: someone dressed like Elena must have wandered into the wrong bank. Elena carefully retrieved her driver's license and the Foundation's 501(c)(3) paperwork. She laid them out with quiet dignity. Nearby clients leaned in, sensing the tension. Michael, finishing his call at the lobby window, watched Elena's every measured move. Neither of them suspected that this routine transaction would soon become a lesson in respect, and a catalyst for change at Centennial Trust Bank. Part 2, Suspicion and Documentation. Elena Brooks remained calm as Laura Henderson scrutinized each document in turn. The desk lamp's glow highlighted the embossed seal on Elena's nonprofit certification, a clear testament to the Brooks Literacy Initiative's 5-year track record serving underfunded schools. Yet Laura's tight smile betrayed lingering doubt. "You've provided a check for $250,000, Laura recited, voice void of warmth. "I'm not questioning the Foundation's legitimacy, but our policies require additional verification for transactions of this magnitude. Do you have confirmation from Brooks Capital Group or perhaps a letter from your CFO?" Elena took a steadying breath. "Yes. My Foundation's treasurer emailed a signed letter yesterday, confirming the grant proceeds from our annual gala. I printed it as part of this packet." She slid forward the letter, noting the precise professionalism of her own presentation contrasting with Laura's clipped demeanor. A pair of customers at the next desk paused to watch. Michael Brooks, framed in the window's light, remained on his phone but kept his gaze fixed on Elena. Laura thumbed through the letter and a second folder containing bank statements, donation receipts, and a notarized board resolution. "All this paperwork," Laura muttered, tapping her pen against the desktop. "Our high-net-worth clients expect a certain decorum, and verification beyond what you've provided." She glanced pointedly at Elena's hoodie sleeve. "Is this the uniform of someone conducting legitimate banking business?" Elena's cheeks warmed, but she refused to flinch. "My attire doesn't change the validity of our documentation. The Brooks Literacy Initiative has a spotless financial history and helped over 8,000 students this year alone." She met Laura's gaze evenly. Laura cleared her throat. "I'm simply following protocol. If you can't satisfy our additional requirements, you may wish to consider another institution." Her tone was measured but her words cut deeply. The implied invitation to leave echoed across the lobby. Elena glanced at Michael, who watched from the lobby threshold. She then turned back to Laura. "I'd like to speak with your branch manager, please." Nearby clients murmured, the waiting area's energy shifted from routine banking to watchful anticipation. Laura hesitated, brow furrowing. She tapped the bell for her supervisor, her posture stiff. "I'll see if Mr. Carlyle is available," she said, voice cool. As she stepped away, Elena arranged her papers once more, proof that respectability isn't defined by one's clothes, but by one's integrity, and braced herself for the next confrontation. Part 3, Smear and Ultimatum. Moments later, Assistant Manager David Carlyle arrived, pausing at the perimeter of Elena's desk with practiced composure. Laura offered a swift recap. "Ms. Brooks wishes to open a $250,000 account. We have identification and foundation documents, but bank policy requires additional assurances." David's expression was polite but detached. "Ms. Brooks, while Centennial Trust values philanthropy, large deposits demand enhanced due diligence." He both drew upon and reinforced the aura of exclusivity that defined the branch. "We must ensure there's no risk, fraud, money laundering, before proceeding." Elena felt the weight of the word risk. She folded her hands calmly. "I understand. These funds are earmarked for literacy programs. I can provide bank statements from Brooks Capital Group showing the gala proceeds, and if necessary, I can arrange a phone call with our foundation's CPA." David's polite nod was curt. He tapped an internal form. "Even so, we require a face-to-face meeting with the CFO, plus 2 additional references from nonprofit partners." His eyes flicked to Laura, who watched expectantly. "Without those, I'm afraid I must suggest you take your business elsewhere." The ultimatum hung in the air. Nearby customers, a tech executive reviewing loan documents, a retiree depositing a pension check, ceased their transactions, drawn by the pointed language. Elena risked a glance at Michael. He stood unmoving, phone still to his ear. "Are you refusing to open the account?" Elena asked, voice low but firm. A tremor, unfamiliar in her world of internal foundations, rippled through her. David's jaw tightened. "I'm afraid so. It's standard practice here, deposit size and client profile must align with our service model." He gestured toward the exit. "We cater to a certain clientele, Ms. Brooks." Elena's heart pounded. She tried again, "This is not about documentation, I've provided every requirement in advance. It's about respect." She caught the reflection of her own determination in the glass wall behind David. David's gaze flickered to Laura's office door, invisible permission to call security. "I must insist you leave if you cannot present the requested verifications," he said, tone void of accommodation. With that, Laura returned, ghost white. The branch manager's threat of security now loomed. Elena's world paused, her quiet confidence facing the bank's institutional power. In that moment of near expulsion, Michael lowered his phone and took his first step toward a confrontation that would shake Centennial Trust's foundations. Part 4, Michael's confrontation. Michael Brooks ended his call and crossed the lobby with the measured stride of someone accustomed to commanding boardrooms. Branch staff straightened, other clients turned to watch the unfolding scene. David Carlyle and Laura Henderson stood by Elena's desk, poised to end the interaction. Michael paused at their table, concern replacing his corporate calm. "Is there an issue here?" His voice was controlled, resonant. David looked up, taken aback by the sudden shift in authority. "Mr. Brooks," he said, recovering. "I was simply following protocol regarding the size of Ms. Brooks's deposit." Michael's gaze shifted to Elena, who offered a faint, reassuring smile. "My wife has provided all requested documentation and identification," he said, tone firm. "She presented our foundation's charter, our CPA's letter, and bank statements. I understand due diligence, but this is her account. I expect it to be handled with the same respect you'd afford any client of Brooks Capital Group." Laura swallowed. Her tightly scripted protocol unraveled under Michael's calm insistence. "Sir, we maintain high standards for certain deposit levels and client profiles," she stammered. Michael's expression remained neutral but incisive. "Respect for clients shouldn't be conditional on attire or preconceived notions of wealth. Elena manages our foundation's finances independently because we believe in her judgment. I'd like you to complete her account setup now. Nearby customers, once onlookers to Elena's humiliation, nodded in silent approval. The teller behind David's desk peeked over the partition, hopeful. David's eyes shifted between Elena's quiet dignity and Michael's unwavering confidence. He knew this wasn't just about her deposit, it was about upholding the bank's reputation with all clients, regardless of appearance. A tense beat passed. David exhaled. Of course, Mr. Brooks. Please accept my apologies, Ms. Brooks. He gestured to the desk. Laura busied herself retrieving the account forms. Michael stood by Elena's side as she reorganized her papers, providing a private moment of solidarity. Other staff began to resume normal operations, but the atmosphere had shifted irrevocably. Respect was no longer negotiable. As Elena signed the final documents under David's admiring eye, Michael whispered, "You handled that beautifully." Elena nodded, pride radiating in her quiet gaze. In a single gesture, Michael's intervention had restored her dignity, and set a new standard for Centennial Trust's treatment of every customer. Part 5, Presidential Intervention. Later that morning, Michael and Elena were escorted to a private conference room by David Carlisle and Laura Henderson. There, Gregory Shaw, the bank's president, stood waiting. His office's glass walls framed Boston's skyline, a reminder that institutional culture starts at the top. "Mr. and Mrs. Brooks," Shaw greeted, voice warm but grave. "I've been informed of the earlier incident." He motioned to chairs. "Please sit." Elena and Michael exchanged a glance before settling across from him. Shaw folded his hands. "I want to extend my personal apology. The way you were handled reflects a cultural blind spot here. We pride ourselves on service, yet we failed you both." He looked at Laura. "Ms. Henderson, can you share what happened?" Laura recounted her concerns about large deposit protocols and client profiles, her voice tight. Shaw listened without interruption. When she finished, he spoke firmly, "Misplaced protocol doesn't justify disrespect. I value every customer, especially those who come to us with genuine needs." He turned to David. "Mr. Carlisle, please outline how we'll remedy this." David cleared his throat. "We can provide expedited onboarding for the Brooks Literacy Initiative account, waive all service fees for the first year, and ensure direct access to our nonprofit liaison team." Shaw nodded. "Good. But we need systemic changes." He addressed Elena. "Mrs. Brooks, you suggested bias training and updated client relation protocols. I want to implement those immediately." Elena leaned forward. "Thank you, Mr. Shaw. My foundation's philosophy is that dignity shouldn't depend on appearance. I'd be honored to help design training modules that foster respect across your staff." Shaw's expression brightened. "Your insight would be invaluable. And Ms. Henderson," he continued, "you'll step back from client-facing roles until you complete this training. I want you to understand the impact of assumptions." Laura's posture stiffened but her eyes reflected determination. Shaw concluded, "We'll form a steering committee, myself, Ms. Brooks, and department heads, to oversee these initiatives. Centennial Trust must earn back trust through tangible action." He stood, extending his hand. "Thank you for holding us accountable." Elena and Michael rose, gratitude tangible. As they left the conference room, the corridor felt different. Staff passed with genuine smiles, no longer the distant professionals of earlier. The bank's president had signaled a new era, policies rooted in respect, always. Part 6. Thomas's redemption. Back in the main lobby, Ethan Wu, a young client services associate, watched the Brookses depart the conference room. Earlier, he had shifted uncomfortably as Laura questioned Elena's attire, feeling the injustice keenly. Now, he straightened his tie and approached Elena's desk, where the new account paperwork lay. "Mrs. Brooks," he began, voice warm, "I'd like to finalize your account and ensure all your foundation's needs are met. He handed her a fresh packet, neatly organized. His respect stood in stark contrast to the morning's earlier dismissals. Elena regarded him with gratitude. "Thank you, Ethan. Your attentiveness means a great deal." Michael gave Ethan a nod of approval before stepping aside. Ethan smiled. "I wanted you to know, my sister, Lily, benefited from the Brooks Literacy Initiative last year. She struggled with reading until your tutors guided her. She read her first chapter book this spring." His voice brightened. My parents couldn't stop smiling. Elena's eyes softened. "That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. What's her favorite story now?" "She's into mysteries," Ethan replied. "Your program even arranged library passes so she could explore new books." Elena reached into her bag and produced a small stack of personalized bookmarks, their foundation standard gift to every new reader. She handed them to Ethan. "Please give these to Lily and her classmates." Ethan accepted them with a look of genuine delight. "I will," he said. "And if there's anything else you need, a meeting space for volunteer training or additional materials, just let me know." Michael stepped forward. "Ethan, thank you. Your professionalism this morning exemplifies the change we discussed." Ethan bowed his head slightly. "I'm honored to be part of it." As the Brookses turned toward the exit, Ethan returned to processing their account setup. Fast-tracking wire transfers, setting up dedicated liaison contacts, and arranging a private meeting room for foundation staff. His actions rippled through the lobby. Clients noticed the shift from skepticism to service. In that moment, Centennial Trust Bank's future was in hands like Ethan's, people who, when given a chance, could embody the respect and empathy that turned policy into practice. Part 7, Forgiveness and Invitation. That afternoon, Laura Henderson found a quiet corner near the bank's volunteer kiosk, clutching a copy of Lily's reading assessment, Ethan's gift to her as a gesture of reconciliation. She replayed the morning's events in her mind, the pointed questions, the trembling voice, Elena's calm dignity. Mustering courage, Laura approached the kiosk where Ethan had displayed foundation brochures. Elena and Michael were chatting with a staff member about upcoming community workshops. Laura cleared her throat. "Elena," she began, voice soft. "I." Elena turned, her expression open. Laura took a breath. "I can't undo what happened this morning, but I want to offer my sincere apology." Elena inclined her head. "Thank you, Laura." Michael stood respectfully to the side. Laura produced a small flyer. "Our foundation hosts a parent workshop next Wednesday on supporting early readers. I'd be honored if you'd allow me to attend as a volunteer, in my capacity as a mother of a child with dyslexia." Her voice wavered on the word mother. Elena stepped forward. "I'd love that. Our foundation's mission is grounded in community involvement. Your perspective will be invaluable." She handed Laura a bookmark. "Please join us." Laura's eyes glistened. She clasped the bookmark, voice catching. "Thank you." They exchanged a warm look, two women bridging a divide once widened by judgment. Around them, the lobby buzzed with volunteers signing up for literacy events. Laura lingered a moment, then added, "I've already seen how this work changes lives." Elena smiled. "That's why it matters." As Laura walked away, Ethan caught her eye and gave an encouraging nod. Laura folded the bookmark into her leather portfolio, feeling a gentle resolve settle in her chest. No more assumptions, only empathy. Part 8, 6 months later, transformation realized. 6 months on, Centennial Trust Bank's lobby gleamed with fresh energy. A ribbon-cutting banner heralded the launch of the Community Literacy Banking Program, a partnership between the bank and the Brooks Literacy Initiative. Clients of all backgrounds chatted with volunteers in branded polo shirts, signing up for small business microloans and nonprofit grants. Elena Brooks stood at the podium with Michael by her side and Gregory Shaw, now leading the program's steering committee, in the front row. Laura Henderson, wearing a volunteer badge instead of a crisp blouse, sat 3 rows back, smiling at families registering for youth reading workshops in the adjacent community room. Eliminating barriers begins with recognizing every person's dignity, Elena told the gathered crowd of educators, nonprofit leaders, and bank staff. Today, we celebrate financial access and the power of collaboration. Her simple blouse and soft jeans stood as a quiet symbol, substance over style. After her speech, Gregory Shaw joined Elena for the ceremonial account setup demonstration. Our bank now processes nonprofit applications in under 48 hours, he explained, prompting appreciative applause. Michael handed local directors their initial grant checks. Nearby, Ethan Wu coached youth on opening savings accounts, while Laura Henderson guided parents through literacy resources. She knelt beside a nervous father, showing him how to register for low-interest loans to fund his after-school tutoring center. As afternoon sunlight streamed in, Elena reflected on the journey from that morning 6 months ago, when one woman's quiet resolve sparked a bank-wide transformation. The institution that once judged by attire now measured clients by aspirations and impact. Laura approached Elena. "Mrs. Brooks, Mia just finished her first book, Detective Doodle," she said, holding up a drawing. "Thank you." Elena beamed. "That's music to my ears." In that moment, the bank's grand lobby had become a place of opportunity and respect, fulfilling its promise, everyone's story matters, no matter what they wear. And the seed of change planted by 2 determined women had flourished into a community committed to seeing, and serving, each person's potential.